So welcome, Xavier.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with the hard question.
Yeah.
You said already. I don't know that I want to hit on, but what is your business and how do you serve your customers?
Yeah, for sure. So I label my business as software consulting development. That ranges for companies will approach me with some architecture standpoint questions of how they should have things designed, or it can be as simple as websites, applications, and then I would say the last few months really have pivoted into AI solutions. So working with LLMs, generative AI to create custom chatbots, and then also just created this lead generation AI tool that trying to sell to some companies. So yeah, honestly, anything tech is I have a passion for it, and I love to help other businesses figure it out.
I like it.
Yeah.
You say lead generation. How's that going? What was the development process like for that?
Yeah. So I saw this really cool platform called NAN. It's basically linking up all these different AI products. So the main engine and brain behind it is ChatGPT, and then it's integrated with a bunch of Google products such as Google Sheets and Excel, and it calls these web scraper APIs. So it's really cool. You give it a location, the type of people you want, and the type of industry. And man, it'll return a Google Sheet with hundreds and hundreds of roles with their LinkedIn, their website, phone number, email. It's really cool, and I think it's something that I personally struggled with in my business, and I thought of a solution that I could solve, and I know a bunch of other businesses have that same problem. So yeah, I got it created. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to bring it to market and sell it to other businesses.
Not fully there yet.
No, not fully there. No.
That's exciting though, because that's a lot of data and one way to capture it and bring it in and help people with that lead generation. That's huge.
Yeah, thank you.
I like it.
Thank you.
You kind of hit on a little bit, like what's some of the inspiration that drives you in generating all these tools, other than solving a problem, which you already talked about?
Yeah. I think growing up, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I also I come from like a sports background where you're just always working on like self-improvement and working on a team to win and having a competitive nature. And I think that really translates to a lot in entrepreneurship. And when I started that journey, I mean, there's a lot to learn, like a lot. And I mean, she was hitting on it just a little bit earlier of how many different hats you're wearing. Yep. And actually, I asked the question because the way I attack the perspective is like, you're wearing so many hats. How can we implement technology processes and AI to allow you to have more free time to do the things that you actually do? Like as a business owner, I would imagine you probably don't like doing taxes.
No.
I mean, who does, right? I'm not saying that like AI is going to replace that or sending emails, but I think I think that our creativity gets constrained because we're putting more time into doing the boring, repeatable processes rather than sitting there thinking about how we can grow and change our business. Yeah?
We always get stuck in the hands-on, get it done, rather than the creative, generate the business. Like, what's the next new avenue, right? And so that's where I can see the benefit of AI, and I'm gonna plead guilty. Got me thinking a little bit about the VA thing. So I don't know. There's some decisions to be made there, but I like the AI thing too. So we'll stick with AI for now. No, but that's awesome because you're taking something that is a logistical nightmare for some people, or as mentioned, we're wearing multiple hats, especially as you're getting started and trying to grow your business. Right. So when you're stuck down in the weeds, I like to say, it's harder to get above and do those other things. So that's really cool. So you mentioned sports, and that tying in, I'm assuming the self-help and all that has been good. What's a moment on your journey that changed everything for you from the time you started thinking about this to where you are today?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think it's going to actually start with me with my first job out of college. So, man, I was such a meathead, like reflecting on it. Like literally I went to school for like computer engineering, which was difficult, but like all I could think about was football. So I didn't really think about my career. And so I kind of just took the first job that I took out of college. And you start seeing on social media like, oh, I'm a software engineer and I make X amount of dollars and X amount of dollars. And I was like, I'm not even close to that, yet my job title is the exact same.
Okay.
So right after noticing that, I get a job promotion that had a name change and not much of a salary change. Like literally it was kind of, and you know, I was given these promises that weren't kept. At the same time, I wanted a new car really bad. I was not financially literate at all. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I thought to myself, wow, I need to find another way to generate income in order for it to make sense for me to get a car. And it was at that moment, it was like, you know what? I am never going to allow another person to tell me what my time is worth, especially when it comes to money value. And I think those, like putting those two together and realizing that, like, sure, I've probably like make good money in perspective of things, but I don't feel comfortable with a car. Like it was like something needs to change, and I need to find a way to, one, generate another revenue of income, but also just level up, you know? Like I don't like being in the average area and like being told I can't do something or feeling not comfortable. So I think that was a big pivotal moment for me.
I'm going to give you credit, and I'm going to say this because I didn't figure that out until I was a lot older than you are. But I've made that same revelation. It takes a long time to get there. And when you do, I think there's a whole mindset shift that takes place. And admittedly, I think younger is easier to make that transition than it is when you're older. That to say you can't. Obviously, we've all made different career aspirations and changes at different points, but that's really cool. And good that you had an idea of where you wanted to go with it. And yeah, I mean, knowing to that point, somebody dictating your value is kind of tough.
Yeah, that is incredibly tough, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean, you know? So knowing your self-worth, I mean, it's really up there. And it's interesting because I talked to a lot of people. I think 2 people this week. I'm just, you know, they talk to me, friends, about their career. And I'm like, oh, like, well, what do you think you're worth per hour? And they say these numbers. And I'm like, that's it? Like, I think you're incredible. Like, I think you're so good and you add so much value. Like, I just don't think a lot of people know their self-worth.
That's fair. I think that's very true. How would you define figuring out your self-worth, or what's a good baseline to go through or with to kind of help justify that for those that are curious?
I think that's a really good question. And I think maybe, you know, I don't know if you have employees or something. That's something that's hard to figure out too, right? Because that's an investment for us.
Yes.
We're like, okay, I'm going to pay you this amount, but I expect to get somehow in return. One, I think it's do your research in the field that you're in, seeing what competitors are paying, and then making sure that you're relatively around the same, understanding what other skills and stuff and responsibilities as well, right? Like sometimes like companies ask a lot more than that's just in the job description. I have the philosophy, closed mouths don't get fed. So if you sit there and you take it and you don't ask, well, then you're never going to get it, right? So yeah, I mean, that's a hard question, but I think that's about as best as I can answer that one.
Well, it's fair because it is a hard question. I mean, it's one of those things that I think plagues a lot of people. How do you figure out what you're worth? I mean, I know she was talking about the first couple clients she had and just going up because you realize you're worth more than you're getting. So that's a struggle.
Yeah. And honestly, I think maybe even a better question than how to figure out what you're worth is thinking about like what I can do to increase my worth.
Yeah.
Because now if you go to an employer and you actually have data rather than saying, hey, I'm worth X amount of dollars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've improved here.
Right.
I know this, and that. Like, this is why I think that's more empowering than, you know, just throwing a number out there.
100% agree with you. I mean, going to them with more information is very legit and
most definitely
something to do. What's something you wish more people understood? I mean, we've kind of been talking about it, but what's another way that you would kind of phrase that or answer there?
Yeah, I think just in the people that I feel are closest to me is I think they feel really, really stuck. And we mentioned this earlier about how, you know, having that mind frame and because being an entrepreneur or just doing stuff in it, like it takes some amount of risk. And I know people will once say, you know, you have kids and you have a family, like it's far more scary to take that risk. And I just wish people knew, like, you don't have to be there. Like, so many people hate what they're doing and hate their job.
Yeah.
And it just, like, really angers me. And people are really, really close to me. And then I'm like, hey, like, why don't you try applying for here? You complain about this job every single day. You're miserable. Please, like, just go try to find something,
do something
or start a side gig.
Yep.
But you know what happens is they're so tired because let's be real, they focus more on their corporate job than they do about their self-improvement. And then all of a sudden they get off work and they're too tired because the job that they hated drained them. It's like,
yeah, you're just in this hamster wheel type of mentality.
That's a great analogy. Yes.
I wasn't thinking about it, but it just came to me. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, you're just constantly spinning. I thought of what I was going to kind of touch on, and you hit on it a little bit with that last question. Is what would you say is your stance on learning and constantly? What is your best avenue?
Yeah.
It's kind of a two-parter.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and I think specifically the field that I'm in technology is like, if you're not learning, you're left behind because things are moving so fast. Like, I don't even search in Google anymore. And like 2 years ago, that's all you did, because AI is like now the biggest and baddest thing. Especially like in my field, if you're not continuously learning, you're gonna get left in the dust. But there's also a spot I think you can pivot once you're at a certain level, especially when it comes to term in entrepreneurship, because instead of maybe having to deep dive and learn something, being able to pivot and then outsource and hire people that are specialized in areas that you're not as good at. So yeah, I think that's too.
I think learning is always something that we're doing, regardless of what you're working at or doing. I think, to your point, definitely in your field, you mentioned it, right? If you're not learning, you're going to get left in the dust. I would say, and I'd take for your input on, I also would argue maybe in life it's that way a little bit. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. And I keep probably taking all these answers into the entrepreneurship former perspective, but life is a big thing. And I think I heard this in a quote before. It was like, talk to people like you always have something to learn. And I love that, because like I might know how to build websites. Man, you might be like way more emotionally intelligent than me, right? Like, I think we have something valuable and something to learn from every single person. And if you can take those nits and pieces of other people and try to incorporate and actually put an effort every day in your life, oh man, your self-improvement is going to be crazy.
I think you hit on something that I've learned is huge in entrepreneurship, just in life, right? Just always be, we talked a little bit about it with the first, and I'm sorry, I forgot her name, and that's bad on me, but you always need to be humble and willing to learn and negotiate, communicate, and just talk, right?
For sure.
It helps in the journey.
And I think actually something I'm experiencing now is why it's so vital to have mentors, because of that humbling experience. Like, I kid you not, last week, I met with a guy, and he literally looked at my face and he was like, "Your business is nothing." And like,
whoa,
like literally, it's just like the type of person he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, he's like, "You're nowhere there yet. Like, one day," he just have all these years of experience on me. And I think honestly, like, you kind of need that.
Yeah.
And once again, like, I come from a sports background, right? Like, you have coach and stuff like that, where you're able to take criticism. But I think a lot of people, like, they'll sit there and they'll take that personal, and then you get defensive, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, this is garbage. Like, I'm making X amount of dollars. I'm doing this, and that. But to have someone that's way beyond your level that you're trying to reach to like be like, oh, and then you start seeing the numbers that they do, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm nowhere. Like, so, and I think that's really important of just the people you hang around, right?
Yeah.
Because if you hang like the saying that I know is like, if you're the smartest in your friend group, then you're in the wrong friend group. If you're making the most money in your friend group, then you're in the wrong friend group, right? So if you start putting yourself in positions where you're the dumbest in that group, or you're the brokest in that group, or you're the least fit in that group, you're naturally going to be attracted to their habits and their way of thinking, and it's going to level you up.
That is a perfect way, since we're at time anyway, to end this session. But thank you very much. That was awesome. That was a good one.
That was fun.
Hey, it's Will with the Podcast Crew team. Spotlight is a vidcast shot at the Podcast Crew studios in Minneapolis. We would love for you to be our guest email us at the email address on your screen below to get a copy of the upcoming schedule. It's free, it's easy, and it's a great way to try out a podcast or a vidcast with our pro team. We do an in-person, in-studio version if you're in the Twin Cities area, and also an online version if you're somewhere else. We'd love to have you, hear your story, and help you start your podcast journey. Thanks. Get in touch today.